So we're back to try a different version of solving systems of equations by elimination. It's different in the sense that we have a different set of equations, and there isn't really an obvious grouping of the way that we can eliminate part of the equation. Because if we look at our x's, they're not exactly the same. You don't have a 4x and a negative 4x. Our y's, we don't have a negative 10y and a positive 10y. So we need to figure out a way of making them that way, essentially. So really, when I think about what we can multiply by, getting the 6 and the 10 to equal the same thing is going to be a lot of work. So I'm not going to worry about that one. However, if I look at the x and the 4x, I know that I can multiply this guy, the x right here. If I multiply that by 4, I'm going to get a negative 4. And negative 4 means that I can get rid of this 4 here. So this actually ends up telling me that I want to multiply this bottom equation by 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this equation here separately so that we know what to work with. We know what we're going to do to it. Okay, so all I'm going to do is rewrite that guy down here. So let's just move him down here. So we have negative x plus 6y equals 18. Okay, so I just said I wanted to multiply the whole thing by 4. I didn't leave myself enough room. So I'm going to leave myself enough room by just doing it down here. So I want to multiply that whole thing by 4. So that means that I want to put that whole thing in parentheses and multiply the whole thing by 4. So negative x plus 6y equals 18. I want to multiply every single thing in there by 4. So what happens when we do that? Let's see. We'll just do this in a different color. So if I distribute 4 times negative x gives me negative 4x. 4 times 6y gives me a positive 24y. And then 4 times 18 gives me 72. And of course, you can do that on your calculator if you need to. So now we have our new equation. So this bottom equation just became this equation right here. And because of that, now we can actually go to the original idea of what we did with solving the systems of equations by elimination. So let's take this top equation that we haven't done anything to yet. This guy right here, we're just going to rewrite him over here. So the top equation says, this one right here, this one here, it says 4x minus 10y equals negative 30. So that's what I'm going to write over here right now. So 4x minus 10y equals negative 30. Okay, so I've rewritten that. Now that I've transformed this bottom equation into something that's actually going to be working with me, I'm going to take that blue equation and I'm going to write it underneath the one that I just wrote down. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over here. Negative 4x plus 24y equals 72. Okay, I want to make sure everything's nice and lined up. So this is lined up, this is lined up, and this is lined up. So all I did was take this equation and I moved it here. Because now they can work together. So I already have a negative sign right here. So that means I'm just adding this equation to this equation. I'm combining the parts that are similar. So 4x minus 4x, oh, that cancels out nicely. And then negative 10y plus 24y leaves me with a 14y. And then negative 30 plus 72 is basically 72 minus 30. So that leaves me with 42. And now remember, 14 and y are multiplied by each other. So I'm going to divide that by 14 to undo it, which means I divide this by 14. These cancel out. So my y equals 42 divided by 14, which is 3. So there is my y. Now, same thing that we've had before. All we need to do is use our substitution skills. So we know that y equals 3. We can plug that into we can plug it into this top equation. We can plug it into this bottom equation. Or if we really wanted to, we could plug it into this equation here. Because this equation is the same value as this equation, the bottom one. So really the easiest one to plug it into is this guy here. This negative x plus 6y equals 18. So that's the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to use a different color. Let's go to my purple. So negative x plus 6y equals 18. That is a terrible looking 18, but that's what I got. So I want to plug in for the, instead of the y, so I'm going to take this y and I'm going to plug that in right here. So because I'm solving for x, so negative x plus 6 times, now y, I'm going to do that in the black. Try to do it in the black. Equals that's a little better, 18. I did that wrong. This needs to be a 3. Hopefully you caught what I just did. Okay. So negative x plus, so that's 6 times 3. So what I did wrong is I just wrote y again, which I shouldn't have done. What I should have done is write in the 3. So it's 6 times 3, because the 3 is what came from right here that we already figured out before. 6 times 3 is 18. Another funky 18 equals 18. So now we're solving for x. We want to subtract 18 from both sides. This cancels out, and actually the other one, 18 minus 18, is going to give me 0. And I ran out of room. So I have negative x equals 18 minus 18 is 0. So because really what I'm doing is dividing by negative 1, but either way, it's still going to be 0. So x is 0. So that means that my solution set is my x is 0 and my y is 3. And that's the answer for the whole thing.